Hello, oh my gosh, here's Movie Fanatic Nate coming at you to do a really strange review because it's like a movie slash Blu-ray review, although I just returned the Blu-ray just today. This is like the actual, I think the first Blu-ray review where I don't physically have the Blu-ray with me. I'll just put a picture of what the Blu-ray looks like, I guess right over there. This is my review of this movie plus its Blu-ray, which I don't know when the hell this Blu-ray came out, but I came across this Blu-ray used at Half Price Books for like 10 bucks, and then it was like a Memorial Day sale, so I got 20% off of that. This is a movie that I completely knew nothing about until a friend of mine had it, and it seemed to me like years and years and years ago. I don't know if he had the DVD or what, but regardless, I think we saw it, maybe it was just on in the background, whatever, but I remember liking that first scene at the beginning where the guy drinks the crap, the old whatever the hell it is, Viper shit, and, you know, kind of, the effects were kind of cool of him just disintegrating into nothing and falling into the toilet and shit. So, I don't know, did I even say I'm here to review Street Trash? I like to say the title just to make it official. I'm here to review Street Trash, and then I'll just basically talk about the picture quality of the Blu-ray, because I didn't do any of the extra features or whatever, because yeah, who the hell gives a shit about this special features on this movie. So it's kind of like a movie slash just, you know, picture quality of Blu-ray review. So I got this thing almost a month ago, and they Half Price kind of lets you return stuff for store credit within a month, and I just by chance, I didn't get a chance to watch it yet. I hadn't seen it since way back when I saw it, or when it was on just in the background at my friend's place years ago. And good thing I saw it before, or watched it before frickin', you know, after 30 days, because I was able to just go back and get store credit, because I'm never going to want to see this movie again. Basically, it's like, I don't know what, an hour and 40 minutes long of basically just homeless people living in, you know, different kind of groups of homeless people living in the frickin' junkyard, and, you know, fighting amongst themselves, having all these kind of homeless people fights, and just getting in trouble with the authorities guy, you know, like just whoever the hell this authority guy who plays this cop guy is. And also, while this shit's going on, we have this guy who owns this liquor store who finds some, I don't know, old frickin' presumably liquor in these, you know, bottles called Viper, just tucked away in his some wall, back hidden wall of his, you know, liquor store in the back or whatever, and he brings this out and starts selling it. Just, it's like old stuff, and he puts $1, you know, sells each bottle for $1 or whatever. So this movie is basically about homeless people who, you know, fight amongst themselves, and every now and then one of them will get a hold of one of these bottles of, I think it's called Viper, and they'll drink it, and then they'll just disintegrate to nothing, and then there'll be like 20 minutes of just, you know, homeless people fighting, and they're all just nasty looking and dirty and just, you know, gross. And, you know, then there'll be some homeless guy who drinks a bottle of Viper and disintegrates or blows up. I mean, the effects of that are actually the best thing about this movie, the actual kind of gore effects. And then there'll be 20 more minutes of just, you know, homeless people at the junkyard infighting and just this and that. So it's absolutely just completely uninteresting, and it's just like, what the fuck? And it's just like, I can't believe that anyone financed this movie or wasted money. And this was obviously because of how the Blu-ray looks shot on 35mm, because it's, if I can say this, I mean, was it Synapse? I think it's Synapse Films who put out the Blu-ray of this movie. And it's just like, you know, it's absolutely gorgeous of, you know, image of this absolutely shitty movie. So I don't know who wasted the money and the resources, you know, money on 35mm stock for this absolutely piece of shit. From what little I read on the back and whatever, basically this movie was, this idea, not that it's in my opinion any kind of an idea at all, for this movie was initially shot on like 16mm, 16mm short or something like that, which is available to watch, which I didn't watch because I was so disenchanted by this whole fucking movie and everything about it, and I didn't give a shit about watching any more about its history or whatever, although what I was getting at though is this movie was kind of, what came before it was a 16mm short that they did, and the reason I brought that up is because this movie I think would have been much more suited to 16mm for the feature than 35. 35 is just like, I don't know, way too like high class for a movie of this caliber, and it's really sad that movies, you know, like Texas Chainsaw, although that probably 16mm probably makes that movie even better. So I was just saying that so many movies that are 16mm, you know, that couldn't shoot 35 because of their budget, you know, would have probably been better, you know, more suited to use this to be 35. But then at the same time, you know, 16 is probably what makes those movies, you know, as great as they are, like Basket Case and stuff like that. So I think that was that 16mm? I can't remember. I can't remember if Basket Case, I think that was 16mm. I can't remember right now. But I just can't get over the fact that someone actually paid for 35mm film stock for this piece of crap. And Street Trash is a great title for this movie. I probably would have called it, having seen it, you know, having unfortunately revisited it yesterday. I watched it last night and returned it today for store credit. And this movie would have been better called just Trash. I mean, it's just, you know, if you're a homeless, you know, enthusiast and kind of would like to know what it might be like living in a junkyard and all dirty and shit, you might enjoy this movie. It's just like, oh my gosh. So it kind of, yeah, it kind of has the feeling of a trauma movie. And as a matter of fact, I think I've heard in some commentary years past, Lloyd Kaufman, I don't know if the people who made this movie had some, you know, and him and Lloyd Kaufman had some kind of a beef or whatever, but this movie very much plays kind of like a trauma movie. As a matter of fact, the kind of gore stuff, when the gore stuff happens, it very much looks like trauma kind of gore and stuff. So that's a good way to characterize this movie. Is it basically is, I guess it basically plays like a trauma movie that, you know, is not actually a trauma movie. So I guess that's pretty much all I can say about Street Trash. There's a lot of, you know, not only did they get actual 35mm film stock to shoot this movie, but they actually, there's a lot of Steadicam, you know, a lot of Steadicam work in this movie, which kind of makes it, you know, seem a lot more high tech or big budget than it actually is. It really gives the Steadicam shots really give this movie more of a, you know, big movie kind of a feel. Not that, I mean, not that this kind of movie deserves a big movie kind of feel. I mean, this is just my opinion, but you know, the frickin' this movie, just the premise of this movie for me is just completely and totally uninteresting and nasty. And you guys know, if you've seen, you know, a number of my videos, that I'm just, maybe the fact that I just hate the city in general, and this is just like the most nasty, dirty, grimy, crappy thing you could almost ever want to see. I mean, really, I mean, it's really kind of nasty stuff. So 0 stars out of 4 stars for Street Trash. In my opinion, this is just, you know, I feel very fortunate to have just returned it and gotten store credit, because I would never, you know, ever want to watch this movie again, even with its, I guess I can get onto the Blu-ray presentation, even with its absolutely impeccable presentation on Blu-ray, by, I think, Synapse Films, I think, if I'm not mistaken. I guess there's a 5.1 remix and original mono on this. I just did the 5.1 on the 2-speaker setup just because whatever. I read a little bit on blue-ray.com, their review about it, and they say that the 5.1 is very kind of front and center-ish, and there's not a whole lot going on in the surrounds and stuff like that. So, you know, from what I heard on the 2-channel, or just the 2 speakers, I didn't hear a lot of like stereo separation, or so. The 5.1 probably ain't much, but holy Toledo. The best thing about this movie, as I've already said, is just the, you know, the gore stuff when it does happen, and then the way that this kind of king of the junkyard, or whoever this guy is, who has this traumatic experience in Vietnam and has this femur, you know, carved into a knife that he uses. The way this guy dies at the end is absolutely cool and absolutely great, by some character who looks like the kid from Mad Men. You know, the kid who's like, Madman Mars. he's real. You know, at the end of the movie, the I can't remember the name of this character, but the one who goes into his house and is creeping around in the dark throughout the whole movie, and the kid who lives at the end. It looks like him, and seeing as how it's shot in the same kind of East Coast area and stuff, maybe it's him. I didn't bother to look up the name to see if it's him, but where was I getting at? Shit! Oh, man, I hate that. Oh, what I was saying is the way that this Vietnam vet, you know, king of the junkyard dies at the end is fantastic. We've seen this in movies since, I think, where the character, like, oh, it's Freddy versus Jason, where he's like, ting, you know, he breaks off the thing, the nozzle top of this huge tank or whatever the hell it is for welding maybe or something like that, and it sends this thing flying, and it actually just like goes, we don't see it go through, but from what's left of this character's torso, we see that the thing basically went through kind of his neck area, cut a hole kind of here, like down like this, and took his head off, and just went sailing into the distance, and it's just like, and his blood splurting up and stuff like that, and the torso, the upper body, and they made like his arms and everything look just like the guy's body, and it's just like, wow. Then they made a mechanical head of the guy on the ground. It's just like, they could have easily cheated it with just his real head popped up through the, you know, the ground or whatever, but this is actually a mechanical head they made of his head, like, you know, kind of just the last few motions of this character's face, and eyes move and mouth and stuff. So that's like, you know, it's really strange that, you know, this movie had 35mm film and really good effects every now and then, but it's just like, for what? Just to be in this, you know, stupid movie about homeless people or whatever. So every now and then drinking a, you know, bad old thing of Viper and poison and acid and shit. So that's my review of the movie, and my limited review of the Blu-ray, just kind of the image quality, which is, it's impeccable. I can't imagine this movie ever looking any better than this, not that it deserves to. It doesn't even deserve to look as good as this, in my opinion. So I think I really got to stop talking about this movie now. So thank you very much for watching this review, and as always, we will catch you next time. It won't be at the dump though, the junkyard. It won't be there. So, see ya.